That same soft, mechanical ding echoed every weekday at 6:55 p.m., just 5 minutes before the end of David Turner's 12-hour shift. He worked on the 33rd floor, corner office, an executive at an elite real estate firm downtown. Button suits, shiny shoes, silent corridors. That was his world. Clean, polished, predictable. He stepped out of the elevator and pulled on his coat. The lights dimmed slightly. Night mode. He glanced around the lobby. Janitors with quiet eyes and custodians with old radios wheeled their cleaning carts past cubicles and conference rooms. They nodded politely. He never asked their names. David walked through the revolving door and onto the sidewalk. Cold wind brushed his face, and he tightened his scarf. He walked fast, like always, weaving through the early winter crowd with military precision. That's when he heard it. A child's voice. High, sweet, and completely out of place. "Excuse me, sir. Mr." He turned. A little girl stood there. Maybe 6. Her coat was a size too big, the sleeves swallowing her small hands. She had curly hair that puffed like cotton candy under a red beanie. Her cheeks were flushed from the cold. Behind her, an older woman in a janitor's uniform held a mop and stood awkwardly, as if caught between work and worry. The girl clutched something in her hands, a small envelope made of yellow construction paper. She stretched it out toward him. David blinked. "Are you talking to me?" The girl nodded. "Yes. My name is Lily. Anne. I wanted to ask you something." David looked around. People were walking by. No one seemed to notice. He looked back at the little girl, unsure. She said, "I've seen you before. You work on the top floor, right? You wear the shiny shoes." He cleared his throat, trying not to smile. "I suppose I do." Lily smiled, revealing a missing front tooth. "Well, I'm having a party. Tomorrow. At the community center. There's gonna be cake. Chocolate and vanilla. And orange soda. I wanted to invite you." David stared. A party invitation from a janitor's daughter? "Why me?" he asked softly. She shrugged. "Because Mommy says you look lonely." He blinked. She continued, her eyes bright. "And she says lonely people sometimes need cake the most." He looked at the envelope in her tiny hands. Yellow paper, with crayon hearts and his name, sort of, written in big block letters. "To Mr. Turner." He smiled faintly. "It's Turner." She tilted her head. "Oh. Sorry. But will you come?" He hesitated. "I'm not sure I'd fit in." She took a step forward. "Mommy's sick," she said suddenly. His face changed. "She's really tired all the time. Sometimes she can't get up from the couch. But she says if people come, she'll still smile." Then, her voice dropped to a whisper. "She'll still smile if you come." The moment stretched between them like a tightrope. David slowly took the envelope. The girl beamed. "Yay." Then she skipped back to her mother, who gave him an apologetic nod before leading her daughter back inside. David stood still. Snowflakes began to fall. That night, David couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling of his luxury apartment, high above the city lights. His mind wandered to the girl's voice, the innocence in it. The honesty. She said Mommy's sick. He didn't know what that meant. Cancer. Exhaustion. Something worse. He remembered how the janitor, her mother, used to clean the 33rd floor bathrooms. Always after hours. Always quiet. He remembered seeing her cough once, holding the wall. Why hadn't he thought twice? The next morning, David walked into his office. Meetings, phone calls, deadlines. But he couldn't focus. At 4:30 p.m., he left. No explanation. He drove through unfamiliar neighborhoods until he found the community center, a brick building with faded paint and balloons taped to the windows. He parked his car and sat for a long moment, unsure. Then, he stepped inside. The room smelled like frosting and orange soda. Paper plates on folding tables. Balloons. Music played from an old speaker. There were maybe 20 people. Some kids, a few adults. Everyone looked surprised when they saw him. Especially Lily. She gasped. "You came." She ran to him and hugged his legs tightly. He chuckled awkwardly. "I said I'd try." She grinned up at him. "Come meet Mommy." He followed her to the far side of the room. And then he saw her. The janitor. No uniform today. Just a soft sweater, and a scarf covering her head. Her skin was pale. Eyes tired. But she smiled. A real smile. "Mr. Turner," she said, her voice gentle. "Thank you for coming." He nodded. "I'm glad I did." She tried to rise from her chair, but winced slightly. He quickly raised a hand. "Please. Don't get up." She chuckled. Still polite. Even out of the suit. He smiled. Lily tugged at her mom's arm. "Mommy, can we have cake now?" "Of course, baby." The cake was lopsided but beautiful. Lily sang louder than anyone, and insisted Mr. Turner get the first slice. As the evening wore on, David found himself laughing, really laughing, for the first time in months. He played musical chairs with children. He danced awkwardly. He helped refill cups. And he watched. Watched how this sick, tired woman smiled through it all. For her daughter. Watched how people, strangers, showed up with casseroles, with hugs, with quiet encouragement. Watched how Lily glowed every time someone clapped or laughed. As the party wound down, he found himself sitting beside the mother again. "Can I ask?" he said carefully. "How bad is it?" She looked away, then back. "Stage 4. He felt his chest tighten. "But I have my good days. And, today was one of them. Because you came." He looked at her. She said, "You looked so alone up there, all these years. Sometimes we clean the conference room and see your empty coffee cups. We wondered if you ever had someone waiting at home." He looked down. "I used to," he said. "But, life." She nodded slowly. He said, "Your daughter, she's something special." She smiled. "She is. She saved me, too. When I found out, I thought I'd never smile again. But she'd draw me little pictures and leave them by my bed. One said, 'If you smile today, I'll give you 2 hugs tomorrow.'" He laughed softly. "That sounds like her. She doesn't understand everything yet. But she understands joy." There was silence between them. Then she whispered, "Thank you. For coming." "No," he said. "Thank you. For inviting me." He stayed to help clean up. Before he left, Lily ran to him and handed him another drawing. It was him, stick figure, tall, next to her and her mom. All smiling. Above them, it said, "You're not lonely now." He felt his throat close. He drove home in silence, the drawing on the passenger seat. The next morning, he walked into the office and placed it on his desk. Somewhere between the $1 million contracts and quarterly reports, he began to change. He started saying good morning to the janitors. He brought donuts to the break room. He took afternoons off to volunteer. He wrote a check to help cover the mother's medical bills, but anonymously. Months passed. The mother had more bad days. But she always smiled when David showed up to visit. Sometimes with soup. Sometimes with a story. Sometimes just to sit. Lily would run and jump into his arms every time. And David? He stopped feeling like a stranger in his own life. One spring afternoon, he sat on the porch of their small apartment, coloring with Lily. Her mom slept inside. "Mr. Turner?" she asked. "Yes. Do you think people are sad because they don't have parties?" He thought for a moment. Maybe. Or maybe they forget they're invited. She nodded. "That's what I thought." Then she handed him another invitation. This one said, "You're invited. Forever." And he knew she meant it. For the rest of her life, Lily never forgot the man who came to her party. And David never forgot the little girl who saved his. You've been watching Story Sport, where hearts are changed, not by grand gestures, but by a simple voice saying, "Will you come?" Don't forget to listen when someone invites you in. Because sometimes, that's where healing begins. Let me know if you'd like a version of this with visual scene suggestions, voiceover pacing, or divided into chapters for video editing.